Today, we're diving headfirst into the brutal and eerie world of Hunt Showdown. And I'm about to review the game based on my experience of Hunt swamps, fields, and graveyards in this heart-pounding, supernatural first-person shooter. I'll go over things I like, dislike, and are worried about in this game. But first, let me mention that I've played 4 extraction shooters in the past, and they left a bad taste in my mouth whenever I hear the phrase PvPvE. However, Hunt is not like the others, and it proved me wrong with the idea of blending PvE and PvP in a game. You can tell the devs put in effort into the NPCs, mini bosses, and the big baddies with how well these aspects blend with PvP. In a lot of games that try to implement the player versus the environment scheme, either the PvE or the PvP is lacking. Hunt changes this by the fact that the majority of NPCs aren't bullet sponges that waste your ammo or reveal your location. Well, at least most of the time that is. During my playtime, I quickly noticed how it was better to melee zombies, and adding a melee option into the game made eliminating them more enjoyable, as well as not wasting my resources. The sound design to meleeing them was a nice touch too. At times you can just avoid fighting them altogether as well. I also did not run into the issue of people third-partying my team while fighting a boss. This is because it's risky to juggle so many variables while fighting a boss and players in such a small area. At least that's how it was in the lobbies I got placed into. I also love that the bosses are an essential part of the gameplay loop when it comes to extracting. I would like it though if all NPCs dropped items that we can loot, kind of like how it is in Dark and Darker. It would give them more of a role and purpose in the gameplay loop of Hunt, just like how the bosses are a vital role in the game. Another great thing about Hunt is the variability each game brings. No one match plays like the previous one. There were times I faced against another enemy group of hunters within just 1 minute of the match starting. There were also moments where I didn't engage against another team throughout the whole run. Sometimes people would attack my team after we started the banishment process, or try to ambush us at the extraction point. Other times I would die to a mini or main boss, and here it was just death by an explosive arrow. The list goes on, and to be honest, I love this aspect of the game. The replayability gives you such a diverse experience every time you load in. It's one of the reasons why battle royales are still popular today. But Hunt does this feature better than any battle royale I've played so far. Plus, their maps and environments are unique and different. There's a lot of creativity that can go into this facet of the game. With that being said, I have to say that Hunt didn't really itch that competitive spot for me. They don't have a rank system, leaderboards, or an esport that's being heavily funded by the company like you may see in other shooters. This is something I think I will struggle with when playing extraction shooters because there's so many things to take into account when making a rank system for a game mode that has a lot of RNG in it and multiple winners. And honestly, it's probably for the best if they didn't add one for the main game mode. If there was a rank system, it would probably mean more sweaty people in the lobbies and increase the chances of me getting tilted when I die to a camper. Having a casual mindset and not being too bothered when dying to people is probably for the best anyways. If they were to add a competitive option, it would have to be a new game mode or an alternative extraction system that limits what items can be brought into it and how many people can actually extract. But I do have to say I'm impressed with the amount of game modes they do have. A common request I see people ask for in this genre of games is a PvE/campaign mode, and there is an option for people to just play against NPCs, as well as a game mode that focuses more on PvP called Soul Survivor. It's nice to see that Hunt Showdown is trying to appeal to different types of gamers and their interests. Now, when we talk about the gunplay in Hunt, we have to take into account that this game is based in the 1800s of Louisiana's bayou. The devs have done an amazing job at creating an immersive experience. The sound design and graphics helps a lot too. However, this means you won't find rocket launchers, semi, or fully automatic guns like an AK. I come from playing Valorant, so the idea of tap firing and focusing on clicking heads is okay with me. But just take that into account if you're thinking about getting this game. Most guns during my playthrough though only required 2 shots to the body to down enemy hunters. But I can see there being a slight issue of coming up with creative weapons that don't break the setting or immersion of the game. I'm really curious on how the devs choose to handle this approach. I still think the devs can do a good job within this constraint. I mean, look at Red Dead Redemption. It was limited by its setting as well, but it was still a massively popular game that lasted a lot longer than other action adventure games, which is impressive, especially a game that had shooting as its main mode of combat. This does lead me into a different topic of progression. I didn't really care if I died and lost my weapons, mainly because I had enough cash to just buy them again. There are pros and cons to this train of thought. One is that I'm less worried about the idea of losing a weapon and I can just focus more on other things such as the PvP. The other side of things is that looting and finding weapons in the bayou matters less to me. There wasn't a sense of urgency or extra pressure to extract when I did find a different weapon. It was rare for me to find a weapon in-game that I actually cared about extracting with. There were times where I was able to loot guns off of hunters I killed, which is cool and a nice feature. You can level up your current hunter after each extraction by giving them traits to make the next run easier too. There were times where I was able to loot guns off of hunters I killed, which is a cool and nice feature. You can level up your current hunter after each extraction by giving them traits that make the next run easier. Nonetheless, I have to say the community in Hunt Showdown is one of the best I've experienced. Mainly as a solo player, I will run into issues of poor coordination in a lot of team-based shooters I've played in the past. However, Hunt, I rarely had this happen to me. It was almost by instinct that my teammates and I would watch each other's backs. Yeah, there was about 2 people being kind of trolls during my week-long plus playthrough of Hunt, but overall the community was quite helpful. When I told people in game that I was new, they instantly gave me tips and advice. This gave me confidence in the current and future games I got matched into, and this positivity was contagious. And what I mean by that is during the end of my week-long playthrough, I would meet people newer to the game than me. So I would give them advice as well, like mailing the flies off of you to reduce the poison effect that they inflict. However though, as I talked to other Hunt streamers, I got a little worried. They would make jokes like, Hunt is always fun in the beginning. Just wait till you get to a level 100 and tell me how you feel afterwards. You'll run into a lot more hackers and bug abusers. Which I don't think I ran into a single hacker, but I know every game has them. The question though is how many there are and if the gaming company is doing anything to curve that number down. I couldn't find much information on this except from the typical Reddit posts of people venting their frustration. Overall, I would say that Hunt Showdown is definitely worth the $40 price tag. However, a lack of a competitive mode, not having a progression system that hooks me enough, and some warning signs from veteran players is keeping me from maining this game just yet. I feel like I have to take the casual approach to Hunt to enjoy it, and I definitely will by occasionally playing and streaming this game on the weekends. It's just that my current addiction to Valorant rank may be too strong, and there are other games out there I like to play casually too. Plus, those games kind of give me a stronger reason to constantly come back to it. But who knows, maybe the more I play Hunt, the more I would want to stay and make content on the game in the future. But till then, I'll just take a relaxed approach to the game. I want to say thank you for watching this video, and I'll continue this side quest of finding the best extraction shooter with the next game.